Okay, today we are on the game Star Stable Online. Also, for those in the know, yes, this is the Rune Runner. I have a quick video I think I'll add it to the channel of the last aspect, but I did work months for this horse. I'm pretty excited about it, but that's not what I want to talk about today. Today, I want to do a little bit of talk about a book that I finished reading called When Women Were Dragons. And I think I kind of got inspired by that. And I want to go to where in this game there are dragon horses. Oh, actually, there's one right there. But no spoilers. Let's just run over. Yeah, so like I said, this book that I read was called When Women Were Dragons. And let me look up the author really quick. I can't quite remember. It's by Kelly Barnhill. I've got my notes over here. Let's go to the medieval camp. We can talk a little bit more after we get the horses, but I just want to check out the dragon horses really quick. I don't have any dragon horses in this game. I have been trying. Oh my god, there they are. Okay. Oh, they're so pretty. Okay, let's check them all out. Oh, I think that's breathing fire or smoke out of its nose. Okay, so this is the first option. Let's look at oh, that is beautiful. Okay. And let's see. Oh, I don't know exactly how to pick which ones. Okay, so this is Rume, I think is. This is probably the one I was most drawn to because it's beautiful. Oh, it's got purple eyes. Oh, this horse is beautiful. Okay. Oh, I kind of want them all, but I don't want to spend all my money on them. So let's see. Okay, so this is the older generation of the dragon horses. Oh, which I do love that one. Okay. How many should we get? Should we get 2? I think I'm just going to get 1. I think I want to be responsible. Oh, this one's cute too. Okay. I don't really need to look further. I know I'm going for this black one. Okay. In the book, this is going to have spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, just turn this off. But in the book, the main character, whose name is Alex, a large part of the plot is her aunt turning into a dragon and disappearing. And so I kind of wanted to name it something similar to that. So the aunt's name is Marla. Let's see what we can get with the M sound. Does anyone else have to say the alphabet when you're trying to remember? Oh, okay. Okay, so they've got Mars, Marble. Marble's pretty close to Marla. Magma is also pretty close. And it's a dragon, which is kind of like fiery. Marigold is kind of close. Mars. Mega, Memory. I think I'm gonna go with Magma. If you know about the Magnum ice creams, you know why I got distracted by that. Okay, I'm gonna go with Magma. I think I'm just going to leave this blank. I wonder if, Maple, Marble, Marla, Melon. That's a good name. Okay. I think I'm just gonna go with Magma. And this will be in honor of Auntie Marla in the book. So let's buy this horse and then let's talk about this book because I'm obsessed with this book. Let's write it now. Okay, so like I said, there will be spoilers for this book because I don't want to be responsible for saying that I don't have spoilers when I do. Okay. Oh my God, this horse is so beautiful. Wow, I didn't even plan this outfit to like match perfectly, but apparently I did. I've been working on getting these outfits with shillings. Okay. So, let's take care of this horse. So, the basic plot, I guess, of the book is that there is this thing that happens. It's like set in the 1950s, and I keep getting on this horse, and I do not mean to. I'm trying to take care of it so I can gallop around. It's set in the 1950s, and something happens called a mass dragoning, which basically is exactly what it sounds like, where like thousands and thousands of women in America transform from humans into dragons. And it does talk a little bit throughout the book about it's not all like exclusively women. Like I think there's like a rare dude in there, but generally the dragoning only happens to women. And this is so it's a fantasy book, and it's so interesting because the whole like incident, I guess, of the mass dragoning and anyone turning into a dragon after that is basically like it's like propaganda, and they try and cover it up and like explain it away. And so like it's happened before the mass dragoning, it's happened after the mass dragoning, and so much. I guess I should have gone back. Okay, ADHD moment. Maybe I should do the races in the medieval area because that's where the dragons are. Anyway, so like I said, it's got a lot of what I would consider relevant topics about like feminism, about propaganda, about like what it means to be a woman, what like feminine rage is, and it's absolutely an incredible book. I highly recommend it. I think there was mixed reviews, but I don't flipping care because this book made me feel so strong for being a woman. Like it made me feel like I have a mad amount of power inside of me, which I think these days is really hard to like remember. Especially if you are living in a certain part of the world, which I am. It's like, it can be so hard to remember that being a woman isn't a weakness. So anyway, so this book follows our main character named Alex, who, does not turn into a dragon themselves, but, their aunt turns into a dragon, like I said, and that would be Marla. And when their aunt turns into a dragon, then their cousin comes to live with them. And there's this very interesting aspect of the book where basically it's covered up even within the family. So it's like, we already know that the government in this world, at least, is trying to like hush hush. There's this motto of like keeping your eyes on the ground. And so they're trying to get rid of the stories, but even within this family, Alex's mom, finds out that her sister's dragoned, and then ends up going to pick up her cousin. And so she brings her cousin Beatrice, and then the whole family just like goes along with like, okay, this was your sister the whole time. Like you never had an aunt. She never existed. This has always been your sister. This has always been our life. And, as the book progresses, you see the main character, Alex, who's the narrator of the book, you see her struggle with what reality is. And I mean, it feels to me like very, I guess, prominent to what I feel too about feminism, where it feels like I don't fully know what's allowed, who I am, all of my life is like this weird, like gaslighty question. Anyway, so it's really good. So, you know, I think one of the main parts of this book that feels like I'm like so attracted to it is that there is like this, I don't know, it just feels true of feminism. It feels like a mix of hope and strength. I mean, like part of in the mass dragoning, like these women destroy their husbands, right? Like there's houses left smoldering. There's all these husbands that quote unquote go missing, which obviously, you know, we know from our perspective is it's not them going missing. It's like their wife is eating them. And like, it's this massive influx of power to women. And this is set in the 50s, right? And so like even less power for women then than there is now. And so like, I could talk about this book for a long time and I don't want to ruin all of it, but I do think like, I think the people that maybe have more negative reviews of it are either men or maybe a little bit of a, like, I don't want to say brainwashed because that sounds bad, but a little bit of a situation where like there is an added perspective for like what it's like being a female. Whoops, I hit that. Hold on, let me use my brain power to get back over this obstacle really quick. Okay, well, that was good enough. So I think, yeah, that's the main attraction for me is that there is the real hope and power that comes out of this. And at the same time, it's like this helplessness because the government literally tries to silence anything that happened with women. It tries to control them. It tries to make it so that, oh, okay, like really there was just a fire or, you know, someone just disappeared. We don't really know what happened to them. And so it's like it's a total mind beep, if you know what I mean. And that feels like what it feels like to be a woman. And so anyway, I think that this book is absolutely wonderful for that. That's just a general my general beliefs or consensus about this book, I guess. But okay, what else is there to talk about this book? Of course, too, there is, I don't remember if it's like directly stated. I can't remember, but this is a major spoiler. Turn this off if you haven't read the book. But part of the, I guess, major storyline of Alex, our main character, is that she has this childhood friend and, you know, she's just in the book in the beginning, right? Like it's treated as like, oh, this is the first person that sees me. This is the first person that like knows me because her dad's kind of crap. And, you know, I think her mom's doing her best, but it's not great. But Alex falls in love with this like other little girl named Sonia, and they have these like amazing like childhood moments where they're playing in the leaves, they're painting, they're drawing all the time. Sonia and Alex are drawing each other, and you know, it's not explicitly stated, but I think like it's understood that the parents have this idea of what this means, and then they think that this means that that the kiddos are queer. And then there's this absolutely gut-wrenching scene where Alex's father, like they're just like outside laying and playing and laughing and smiling, and Alex's father like wrenches Sonia away, and basically you never see her again until later in the book. But it's just this heartbreak for Alex where she knows that this person is like dearly close to her and they're attached and they have this connection. But Alex doesn't even fully understand queerness at that point. And so it's kind of like you see it from the outside as an author, like is okay, this is what the author's doing, but from the inside when you're narrating with Alex, it's not. You just see her heartbreak and you feel her heartbreak, and it's that's probably one of my favorite parts of the book. I do think it's like also kind of understood or like it not fully stated, but kind of known that maybe even Marla is queer. And I think later on in the book, this is also a little bit of a spoiler, but later on in the book, these dragons return. They've gone, I think that the word that it says is like they take to the skies or they take to the seas. Oh, it's so flippin' poetic. But they've gone and then they come back. And so, Alex has gone through a lot of things in her life. Her mom dies. Her dad like basically abandons her. So it's all this really tough stuff. But her and her cousin Beatrice, who is also her sister, are just doing their best to try and make it through. And at like exactly when they need them, like these women that have turned into dragons come back, which is like, I think it's powerful in messaging of like, as a woman, you don't have to give back your power to be connected, and you don't have to give back your power to have connection to your family and to be a good parent or a nurturing parent. Is like, it's so beautiful in the end. Alex and Beatrice live in this house with all these like women dragons, and they sleep in this like basically pile of dragons, which is just described as just warm and cozy and safe. And that's what you wanted for Alex the whole book. And so, even in the end when she can't fully accept it or like be part of it, you just know in the book, like it just settles your heart. It's amazing. Okay, let me try and remember what other things I wrote down. I have my notes here. What were the other parts? Okay, so we've talked about like the weird trauma of just like silently erasing trauma and not talking about it. We've talked about, I think too, something that I think was actually like, pretty well done in this book is the idea of what happens when trauma is repressed. I think like Alex knows, and she's old enough when her auntie Marla turns into a dragon and disappears. Like she knows that the cousin coming to stay with her is her cousin, not her sister. And much later on in the book, when she's just doing her best to take care of Beatrice by herself, later in the book, she's confronted, she's confronted with like, hey, this librarian who kind of gets to know her and take her under her wing, she's confronted with this idea that like, okay, but like, that your aunt turned into a dragon, and that Beatrice is your cousin, not your sister. And Alex just has this moment of kind of explosion where she does know that, but it can't settle. And so, she's screaming and she's kicking and she's throwing this fit as she's like running away from compassion, from someone willing to listen, from willing to actually talk about the trauma, but she just can't do it. And so I think this book is amazing for that aspect where, yes, the trauma is repressed, but it's art. It's artistry. Okay, we'll give little Marla here a break while I look at my notes. I did want to get to level 7 because I've heard that they shoot fire at level 7, so that would be pretty exciting. I would say if you hate or are angry at men right now, this could be great or bad for that. I think, the men in this book are not great. And there's a variety, but I would say that the men within this novel do a really good job of stoking frustration and stoking the like righteous anger that I think women can have. And so that actually, you know, I guess depending on where you're at with the men in life, that might affect how you feel about this book. Like I said, like it really does a good job of like talking through the generational trauma, talking through the family trauma, talking about how like different people with different amounts of power like hold and or talk about their trauma. And the men in this book are, some of them are really lacking, and you sit there and you're letting your Alex is, especially with her father, Alex is trying to navigate this, like being told by her father, like, I love you, like, of course I love you, like, you know that, right? But he cuts her off from going to college. He, you know, marries a new woman once Alex's mom dies, and leaves Alex and Beatrice to basically fend for themselves in this little apartment. And, you know, he goes back and forth of like, okay, like I'm paying for this apartment, I'm paying for these groceries, but it doesn't freaking matter because he's like abandoned their emotional need, and Alex has to grow up and take care of her cousin / sister. And all the while, you know, she's fighting with, can I dream about going to college? What does this mean? You know, she's really smart. She doesn't see the appeal of dragons at first. And then, yeah. Ooh, another really cool aspect of this, and I think this is barely a spoiler because it happens within like the first few pages, but her neighbor does like transform into a dragon in front of her. Like this is one of her earliest young memories. I believe this is before the mass dragoning, so it's like a one-off type of thing, but you know, she has to fight with herself about what it means to be a dragon, like, which this is just, it's such a good metaphor for prejudice and feminism. And I think that while you do kind of have to, like, I feel like you have to be a female, or like female presenting or female raised even, to fully get this book. I think it's part of it. So that's amazing. Let's see what else I have written in my notes. Oh, okay. I think this might be my last point. I don't know. We'll see. I might talk till we get to level 7. And if I'm annoying you guys, you can just stop listening. Another really like unique aspect of Alex and Beatrice's life, you know, is that Beatrice actually can like dragon in a way that hasn't been studied within like the mass dragoning or whatever, right? Like the main mass dragoning, which people don't talk about and people don't study, even the scientists, right? The scientists that are studying it, the people that want to talk about it have all been basically like censored by the government. But little Beatrice, you know, she starts drawing these dragons. She gets sent home from school because all of her dragon, like her drawings are just dragons. They're just herself. And of course, because nobody in the school, especially because it's run by men, wants to talk about these dragons. And so, you know, she comes home and Alex has to face the fact that her sister is like not only just obsessed with dragons, but like she can see it and she can feel it within her sister's energy, where, you know, her fingers start to turn into a dragon. And so it's like this little part of her, and Alex, for a large part of the book, is chastising her sister and telling her, don't you dare turn into a dragon. Like I need you to stay with me. Like, you're all I have. And so you can tell Alex is wrestling with this. Is this like, how much is this about me? Like, I've lost my mom. My dad's abandoned me. Like, my aunt's gone. And Alex is wrestling with, okay, but if Beatrice leaves, then like I'll lose everything. And so, she tries to control Beatrice and try to get Beatrice to not dragon yet. And I think, Alex has to go through this, process to not only with her own trauma, but making her life her own after her life has been basically deemed to be after someone else or to honor someone else or to do what someone else wants for this whole time. And I think it's really, okay. Pause. I'm going to go back to my stable so that I can go run the leg races because those are my favorite. Alex, I think like all of us has to navigate the world as like, okay, I am a big sister and like my family is part of me, but I'm going to have to learn to trust that little like young Beatrice, who is this literal Spitfire, she can have that, right? And as Alex is going through this process, you can see Beatrice almost like getting depressed, losing herself because she hasn't been allowed to like fully be herself, to embrace her rage. And I think that's such a cool metaphor for what it feels like to be a woman sometimes. Like you have to dress right, you have to act right. Like I think, we've all heard the classic like bossy term, or at least I think, that's for millennials. That's what we've heard of, like, okay, like a woman who is assertive or a woman who's angry is labeled as bossy or, emotional, that type of thing. And I think, Alex has to reconcile with what it actually means to let her sister fully be herself, which is going to include being a dragon and all that means. And I'm smiling just thinking about it because like when Alex decides to like fully accept and embrace Beatrice just becomes so joyful and happy, and she like it's like this whole part of her is let free, which is, it just feels really like, it just feels like this special experience that like is made all the more sweeter because Alex decides to let her sister like live, and she decides to trust her sister and trust her aunt. And I think that I don't know, that part of the book I cried because it's just how hopeful and how special would it feel to have someone just allow you to be fully yourself, and that like especially as a woman to have full range and freedom to be angry and to roar and to fly without it being kind of seen as a threat by others. And I think the picture of a dragon is just such a good, it's ridiculous. Like there is parts of this book that just seem so ridiculous because, it talks about these dragons having purses and like going to get groceries and, like cleaning their houses, and like the image itself it's ridiculous. The image of when we think about like this dragon, we think about, fear and powerful, and, books like Fourth Wing and stuff have changed our like immediate perspective of dragons. But, like what a funny image to use where, this massive, powerful creature that can do so much destruction so easily, that can wield its power and strength so easily, and also like not getting rid of the other aspects of it. Like it doesn't get rid of the feminine like parts of women. It doesn't get rid of the nurturing, calm, sweet, loving parts of women. I just think that is so cool because like it just would have been so easy for this book to have just decimated an entire part of women, but it doesn't. It's like every part of a woman is accepted. And so I don't know. I think that I've been talking with yeah, you know, some of my female friends and my partner too. And I think like, you know, we're all feeling this squeeze on who we are and what's safe in this world. And I just loved the idea of this image of dragons and owning our power and owning our rage, and that it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean we can't wear a purse or like put our lipstick on or you know, take care of children. Like, none of our heavy emotions, intense emotions, nothing takes away from us. Like, we don't have to choose. And I don't know, something about that. I cried multiple times in this book. I think this would be a really good one for, I don't know, heartbreak. And it's just really emotional. Okay. So I know I spoiled some of it, but if you haven't read it, like, I think, you know, go take a second, give it a read. Okay. So we are officially at level 7. Let's see what the trick is. So, oh, that's amazing. Okay, let's get her in a less. Okay, there's grass everywhere, but I love that. Okay, so, whoops. Oh, freak, yeah. Look at the smoke coming out of her nose. That's so cool. Okay. And then it said to press shift when you're going from walk to trot. Okay, so it's like a little bit of a special trot. Okay, cool. Oh my god. Wow, okay. So anyway, that's, I mean, I guess a little bit of a review of the Dragon Horse, as well as the book When Women Were Dragons. Thanks for listening. I hope to do more of these soon. If you have any ideas, let me know. If you're enjoying it, let me know. Oh my god, look at that cute yawn. Like and subscribe if you aren't already, and I will catch you later.